What up, bros? This is Bro Toscarone.
And this is aaroB.
Alright, and we are here for another SE2 Review.net Starcraft 2 replay review. And today we're going to be doing a bronze replay. It's going to be a ZvT on Shakur's Plateau versus Foxxy. And in cross positions, we have our Terran player, Sandman. And right now we're going to be taking the point of view of Foxxy, so we can be playing from his point of view, exactly, like that.
Yep.
Alright, first things first. What you want to do when you start out the game is send your make a drone, and then send your workers off to mine, and then right after that send your overlord to the left as you're doing. But following that, you want to set your rally points. Right there you didn't set your rally points, and you had a few drones not doing anything for just a little bit, and that's not good, especially early game.
Yeah. Any little thing you can do to get an advantage over your opponent, you should try and do so that you're ahead.
Exactly.
Alright.
Alright, another note, in Shakur's Plateau they can't spawn close positions, like the top position over here, and you scouted that out. They're not going to be spawning there, so you don't have to waste your time with that.
Yep. You sent your drone kind of early to your expansion to exfil. I don't know, maybe you were expecting an SCV, but I think in general you can send it when there's when you have 200 minerals. Then send your drone and you'll get there in time to put your expansion down without having it idle for too long.
Okay. That is true. Yeah, so send your drone there at 200 minerals to make your pool, or to make your hatchery. Alright, and something I saw was that you were pooling a bunch of larvae as well. And you always want to be spending your larvae unless you're saving up for a pool. But over there you could have been spending, you went for a 16 pool, so you could have been spending the larvae instead of having them sit there because your money was piling up.
Yeah.
But so far the build is pretty good. Pretty standard, I think.
Yeah. I see you kind of rallied your main hatchery to the mineral patch down at the expansion. In general, I think it's better to just keep it rallied at your main and transfer drones when the expansion pops up instead of having to rally drones to saturate it later, because then you get more income quicker and you won't be oversaturated on one base.
I totally agree with that. Alright. Right now you should be getting double queen, and yes you are.
Should be making some wings whenever you can.
Okay. Yeah, and you also got supply block here. Making an overlord at around 15 or 17, depending what kind of type of build you want to do.
Yeah.
Should be fine, but yeah, your supply block here and your money's piling up now. That's one reason why you don't want to be supply block. Your money's gonna be piling up. These larvae are just sitting there. You're not making any more larvae, so you're wasting larvae essentially.
Yeah. And then now you're gonna have to make the second overlord. So when you see yourself get supply blocked that badly, you want to make 2 overlords just to kind of compensate for that. If you do have the minerals, that is, and you definitely did. So yeah. So now you're making another 2. That's good.
Alright, one second, let me fix my volume. Okay, that's better.
Yeah, you should definitely be scouting him right now. Have some lings on the field. Have at least one of the towers have 1 ling on his ramp, just poking up and down. Because you're kind of in the dark right now. Don't really have any idea about what he's doing. And even an overlord on each side of his base would be good to have, because you can just get some extra info that way too.
Yep, I like the positioning of your first overlord. It's going to be over here seeing when he expands. That's good, but you have a bunch of overlords in your base. Your second and third overlord could have been taken around the top and to the back of his main base.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Alright, and it looks like you're going to be moving out with a bunch of roaches. That's fine.
Yeah.
And behind this, alright, you're going to be making lots of drones. Very good.
I'd like to see a speed started maybe a bit earlier, because you do have 100, more than 100 gas just kind of floating, so speed is definitely a good upgrade to have. Very useful.
Okay, so you brought your roaches up here. They got blasted with a few tanks. You're gonna know that you're not gonna be able to do any damage. So what you can do here is either contain, but going up the ramp is a bad idea.
Yeah, especially with a bunker there.
Yeah.
This is just kind of throwing away units.
Yeah. Just the tank is enough to let you know that it's a bad idea to walk up that ramp, because they're always gonna be walled off.
Yeah.
So basically, you just wasted those roaches.
And you already have a lot of minerals floating. When you see this, you should try and take an expansion, or just try to do a better job of just injecting and spending your money on drones.
Yeah, and spending your lava. You just had a bunch of larvae sitting at your natural.
And your main too.
Yeah. And
So
you see that how your queen has a lot of energy here? You'll want to try to keep that as close to 0 as possible. So having a timer in your head, knowing when to inject, always checking when your queens have that amount, like 25 energy, is how you'll know it's time to inject.
Yeah, so you could just play a whole bunch of games with just the sole purpose of getting your injects on time, and then that's one more thing you'll have under your belt, and then you can go on to working on the next thing.
Yeah,
Like
I definitely agree with that. Spend a few hours, like a day, working on injects, working on those timings, because once you have that down,
it'll make you a much better player, because it's just a fundamental skill to have as a Zerg player.
much better. And you know, since you do have the extra energy, start spreading creep. But that actually might be a little too much APM for you to handle. But that's something else you could work on eventually. But first and foremost, spitting is most important. Injecting larvae.
Yeah. And yeah, you should definitely have a Ling outside his base, because you could be spamming drones all the way until you see him push out, and then make a whole bunch of units to crush the bush. Especially on a map like Shakuras, where it takes them ages to kind of walk to your base. So you could have a much higher drone count, and yeah, you could feel pretty safe droning hard on this map.
You made a bunch of roaches. They were pretty much unnecessary. All those could have been drones, and the sooner you have drones mining, the more money you're gonna have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you did have a Ling outside his base, you would, like aaroB said, you would know when he's pushing out. You did expand. You want to immediately make a queen there and then start saturating it as soon as possible. Alright, again, you have a lot of unused larvae. You want to use those as soon as possible.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. Okay, but this time you're making roaches.
Yeah.
You really don't have a reason to be making roaches. You want to be making drones as long as possible.
Yeah, this is where having that Ling is really important, because you have to know when to be able to make units, when to be able to make roaches, because Zerg is all about squeezing out as many drones as you can, and then making units. Because if you secure a strong economic lead as a Zerg, you're going to have a very strong chance of winning the game.
Okay, and it looks like you're going for a lot. You just put down a spire, an infestation pit, and a hydralisk den. And you only have 300 gas. You're not really going to be able to spend that. You haven't even started any upgrades.
Yeah, each of these tech structures do cost 100 gas each, I believe, so that's a pretty big investment. So, yeah.
Okay, now, and you're now getting dropped at your third base that you just put up. Luckily, you don't have any drones there, but you should have drones there. And you should be having... You would have saw this coming if you did have the watchtowers and if you had the Ling outside the base. And you wouldn't have lost that hatchery, which is pretty big.
Yeah.
Alright, right now, you only have 36 drones. in comparison to his 31, but still you could have been all the way up to 70 or 80 drones right now, and even having a 4th base. Yeah, so these units were pretty much unnecessary. Okay, now you take the control towers a bit late, but you should, as Zerg, you want to have those at all times.
Yeah.
Once they get taken out, send another link there. And once they take it out again, send another one. Just make sure you always have those.
It's part of something called map control, and map control is very important as a Zerg player, because you always need to know where your opponent is so you can kind of scout drops, know when to start producing units, and yeah, it's just a crucial part of playing Zerg well.
Okay, let's see, you're just making more roaches, and you just scatter out a bunch of Marines?
Yeah, failings are generally a good idea when you see a strong, or like a large infantry ball, and you also saw Marauders, so that's another reason to stop making roaches.
Yep, he's responding to yours, your unit composition, so respond to his response is a good way to think about it. So you're thinking ahead of your opponent.
Yeah. You're still definitely floating a lot of minerals and gas. So you could be using those evolution chambers you build, pumping up a couple mutas, maybe do some harassers, mineral line, making a whole bunch of drones too.
Yep. So as a Zerg player, I know it's okay to start pooling up minerals just a little bit to save up for like a huge round of Ultralisks or whatever, but generally when you're approaching around 1,000 and 1,000 minerals, you're going to want to spend that as start panicking then, because you really want to stay on top of your macro.
Yeah. To find an Ultralisk, you shouldn't be like saving up on 2 base. You should be kind of macroing up, getting on 3 to 4 base, and then you'll easily be able to fund Ultras without having to pool minerals, because you'll just have a much higher income.
Okay, now you're getting 7 Ultralisks, you're spending your money, but your economy could have been way better. Like, I understand that you're making 7 Ultralisks and it's fucking awesome, but you're not going to be able to make much after this because your economy is so bad.
Yeah, it's kind of all in right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. It's pretty much all in. Like, if you lose these Ultralisks, most likely you're not going to be able to come back strong from that.
Yeah, Zerg's all about reinforcing and just overwhelming your opponents with swarm after swarm of units. And I guess this could work in the occasional game, but it's not like the way you're meant to play Zerg. So, in general, you just want to have as many bases as possible with as many drones as possible in order to just like beat down your opponent.
Yep, see, you only have 37 Harvesters.
Yeah.
You generally want around 70 to 80.
Yeah, especially this late in the game.
Okay, here he is dropping your 3rd base, and now you're gonna move up for a counterattack. It's a good move because you see his stuff going back to defend.
Yeah. You should try and spread your overlords when you can to kind of prevent the drops from catching you off guard.
Alright, so now you are attacking up here. That's not terrible, but you have to realize that your position here is really bad. And
yeah.
I hope you're watching this battle like during this time and not working out your base, because this is really important. You're getting caught up in this choke and letting the tanks just fuck you up.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Marauders there too. Marauders absolutely destroy Roaches and Ultralisk. When you saw that you kind of did a lot of damage and made him lift off his command center, you could have just pulled back and realized that you denied a lot of mining time, probably killed quite a few SCVs.
Yep, when you're doing this, I guess like what you wanted to accomplish was take out this natural base, because that's his only base right now, and if you were able to take that out, most likely that'll be his last mining base, because in most games you would have already mined out your natural or your main base.
Yeah.
So take out that base and then pull back, and he has to